Hello, and my name is Cody McCoy, and this is my case study for AEP 854, Missing Funds. So category 1, problem identification. What do we know? We know that the $50 bill that Mr. Dumas paid with is missing. We also know that there are 10 tickets that were not sold because they were reported as damaged. We know that Mrs. Bowman was working the gate. We also know that she had previously asked the PTA for PTA funds to help her daughter go to cheerleading nationals. And then finally, we know that there were 2 people working the gate that night. What do we need to know? What exactly happened to the damaged tickets? Um, who else is working the gate? Have tickets ever become damaged before? And if they have, is there a procedure for reporting that? And are there larger bills that could have been used that could have used the $50 bill for change? So did someone come through with a $100 bill? Category 2, the plan of action. The first thing to do is investigate the missing bill, interview Mrs. Bowman and the other person working the gate as soon as possible, and I want to know what happened to those damaged tickets. I would also retrain all the volunteers on cash handling prior to the next sporting event, which we have a little bit of time because this is the last home basketball game of the season. I would request some more district employees or district employees made available to assist with games. That way, maybe you could pair up a parent with a district employee for cash handling purposes. And then, if there's any cameras, I would like to review the cameras so I can try to see exactly what's going on. Category 3, resolving the issue. I personally would implement some new controls around cash handling. Volunteers and people taking money need to count the money with the supervisor that day before they leave. So when the gate closes, the principal should go to the gate and count the funds with the person who is handling the funds. And then any tickets not used need to be accounted for. So, for example, in this instance, damaged tickets need to be reported immediately, would be my recommendation, and then those tickets need to be kept with the funds until the deposit is prepared. So just like you report all of the bills you took in and all the money you took in, you would also report that, and then I would have the workers go ahead and put that in the cash bag or the bank bag with the funds. And then also I would invite more parents to help. Don't just rely on a few parents. Get as many parents as you can and have a rotation set up so that more people are involved. This is really important because this is a sensitive issue and our parent involvement in this case is very strong, and we want to keep it that way. We want that relationship to be strong. And then finally, I would work with Miss Bowman to find other ways to help her fundraise. Category 4, reflection. While going through this, I was thinking a few things. First is, have we put too much trust in the parent organizations? What steps and how can I further investigate this matter? How much money has come up missing in the past, and how has this affected children's activities? So this money, if money is coming up missing on a regular basis, that is costing kids field trips and class experiences. And then how can I properly investigate this? Like, not only just investigate it, but preserve their relationships with parent organizations. As I read the case study, I was feeling, first, I was concerned for Mrs. Bowman. She's an involved parent. I want to tread lightly in this. I don't want to be accusatory of her, and I want to support her. And if she did take the money, what is she feeling, and how can we support her daughter and her daughter's endeavors and dreams for going to nationals for cheerleading? I had some fear. I had fear of students missing out. If this isn't the first time, how many programs and field trips have students missed due to theft, like I said just a second ago? And then I was a little bit disappointed in the safeguards in place. It's clear this principal has worked to implement safeguards. However, I feel like something as simple as damaged tickets, we should be able to foresee that. And safeguards such as counting money with volunteers before they leave. is something that should be a common practice. While reading it, I was valuing the students' experiences. Um, how can we ensure they are receiving the funds they are entitled to? Because remember, uh, this money raised belongs to the students. Uh, I'm valuing the parents. Just because this one instance has happened does not mean all the parents are guilty. This relationship we have with the parents is the best thing for the students, and we have to try to preserve that relationship, and we have to recognize that they are valued. And I'm valuing our athletes, and just students in general who are involved in things. Parent support at games, not just the workers, but the fan experience is extremely important. We want people to come to our school and feel comfortable, and we want them to have a positive experience. This is where being a leader, part of being a leader and promoting your athletics and events such as choir and band is so important. If our safeguards don't balance with our fan experience, then the number of fans will diminish. So, for example, if we have so many safeguards that it's too cumbersome to come to a game, people will stop coming to the games as fans. We do have some unresolved issues. The first, the principal, Mr. Stevens, does not have enough help. He does not have an assistant principal. He relies very heavily, maybe too heavily, on parent organizations, and so he needs some help. We don't know who took the money. It's really easy to sit here and point fingers at Miss Bowman because she had asked for funds and didn't receive them, and she's working the gate. But we have to investigate it, and action must be taken. We have to have due diligence in finding out who took the money. And then another unresolved issue is how can we help Lucy in her goals? You have to take into account all students when you think about these problems, and it's easy to overlook one student, but one student is part of all of those students, and Lucy's endeavors of going to nationals should be a priority for the school. Category 5, I manage this situation by retraining all of the volunteers and staff who handle money. Putting these new safeguards in place and communicating is very, very important and will help us be successful in the future. I interviewed all of the party. I would interview all of the parties involved. This is part of the investigation process and trying to make sure that this isn't accusatory to anyone in particular. So in this case, I wouldn't just interview Ms. Bowman. I would interview the other person working the gate too, and anyone who came in contact with the money and or the tickets. And then also reviewing safeguards and making changes, putting in place like people at the gate and concessions counting the money with the supervisor when they are done for the night before they leave, and then also the immediately reporting the lost or damaged tickets and then holding on to those tickets until the end of the night is another way that I managed this process. I work to promote social learning by preserving the relationships with parents during the investigation. By preserving this relationship, this will lead to continued support from our parents. We cannot have our parents walk away from the school and not want to be involved. That will help no one. I also helped Miss Bowman find ways to send her daughter on the trip. We cannot forget to support individual students while keeping the whole student body in mind. And then I also, by inviting more parents to get involved, this not only recognizes our strong parent involvement that we already have, but more parents getting involved will only support more students. Category 5, Part 3, I work to promote academic learning for all students by investigating the incident. By investigating the incident and finding out who did it, we may be able to recover the funds. Recovering the funds will directly impact student experiences at the school. Increasing the staff at the sporting events. This will not only increase safeguards, but A really powerful thing happens when kids see their teachers and people they see at their school after school at their activities supporting them. And then also, in this instance, denying Mrs. Bowman's request, but helping her fundraise. So if we're going to support Mrs. Bowman and her daughter in what she wants to do, it's not enough just to say, no, we can't give you the money, but maybe giving her ideas of people who she can reach out to, while remembering that that large amount of money that she requested is just too much for one student. There are tons of community partners out there, and there are tons of ways to raise money. And depending on the timeline we have, there may be enough time for us to support her. That wraps up my AEP 854 case study for Module 16. Thank you for viewing it, and I am very glad I took this class. I learned a lot, and I look forward to working with some of you in the future.